In the early 1940s, World War II was in full swing, and the fight for control of the skies was a big part of the conflict. Back then, aircraft carriers were like floating air bases, and whoever controlled the skies had a major advantage. The United States Navy needed a reliable and powerful fighter plane that could dominate the air and help win the war. Enter the Grumman F-6F Hellcat. The road to creating this aircraft started with a need for something better. The Grumman Aircraft Engineering Corporation had already built the F-4F Wildcat, but it was clear by 1942 that they needed a more advanced fighter. This is where Leroy Grumman and his team came into play. Leroy Grumman, an engineer and founder of the company, worked to design a fighter that could surpass enemy planes like the Japanese Zero. Step by step, the team developed the Hellcat. They gave it a powerful 2,000 horsepower engine called the Pratt & Whitney Double Wasp. This engine allowed the Hellcat to fly faster and climb higher than many other planes. The Hellcat was also armed with 650 caliber machine guns. It had thick armor and a tough structure to protect the pilot in combat, giving pilots greater confidence in battle. But it was not an easy journey. Engineers had to deal with problems like getting the engine's power just right and making sure the planes could take off from and land safely on aircraft carriers. Testing and improving were constant. They had to make sure the plane performed well at sea and in the air. When the Hellcat finally became part of the fleet in 1943, it made a big difference immediately. During the Battle of the Philippine Sea in 1944, it famously helped the Allies achieve a major victory, shooting down hundreds of enemy planes. The Hellcat was responsible for destroying over 5,000 enemy aircraft by the end of the war, making it one of the most successful fighter planes of the era. Even today, the story of the Hellcat matters. It shows how innovation and determination can turn the tide in challenging times. The Hellcat was more than just a plane. It was a symbol of technological progress and teamwork in a time of global conflict. During the late 1930s, tensions were increasing around the world, leading up to World War II. Countries were focused on building strong military forces, and for the United States Navy, having powerful fighter planes was a big deal. This desire for advanced aircraft led to the creation of the Grumman F-6F Hellcat, a fighter plane that played a key role during the war. The Hellcat's development began with a team of talented engineers at Grumman Aircraft Engineering Corporation. These engineers included Leroy Grumman, who founded the company, and Jake Swerble, a skilled manager. They were in charge of designing the Hellcat, a challenge they embraced to meet the United States Navy's demands for a better fighter plane. The plan was to replace the older Grumman F-4F Wildcat with something that could outmatch enemy planes. The process of creating the Hellcat involved several steps. First, the engineers gathered feedback from pilots who flew in the Pacific Theater. They wanted to know what worked well and what needed improvement. With this input, the team designed a plane that was fast, tough, and easy to fly. It featured strong armor to protect pilots, powerful engines to reach high speeds, and a wingspan of about 42 feet for better maneuverability in the sky. The technical aspects of the Hellcat were impressive. It was powered by a Pratt & Whitney R2800 Double Wasp engine, which gave it the ability to fly at speeds over 375 miles per hour. The plane came armed with 6 half-inch caliber machine guns and could carry rockets or bombs, making it very formidable in combat. However, the journey was not without challenges. One major problem was ensuring the Hellcat could land safely on aircraft carriers. To overcome this, the team designed a strong landing gear that could handle rough landings at sea. By 1943, the Hellcat was ready for action. It quickly proved its value by achieving a high success rate against Japanese aircraft. Many credit it as a major factor in gaining air superiority in the Pacific. Today, the Hellcat matters because it shows how teamwork and innovation can lead to success, even in tough times. It reflects the importance of listening to those on the front lines and adapting to meet new challenges. Plus, its legacy continues to influence the design of modern military aircraft. In 1943, World War II was raging across the globe, and the Allies needed all the help they could get. One weapon that started making a difference was the Grumman F-6F Hellcat. This fighter plane was known for turning the tide in the Pacific against Japanese forces. Before its debut, Japanese aircraft had dominated many air battles, with planes like the Mitsubishi Zero proving to be tough opponents. The United States Navy needed something that could compete. Enter the Hellcat. Designed by Grumman, it was built fast and delivered to the front line in huge numbers starting in 1943. Key players in this story include the engineers at Grumman who designed the plane and the pilots who flew it. Lieutenant Edward Butch O'Hare, a celebrated pilot, was one of these young men. He and others had to quickly learn how to handle this new machine. In simple terms, the Hellcat was a game changer. It was powered by a strong engine and had a tough, heavy frame, making it robust in airfights. Its wings housed 6 half-inch machine guns, which was a big deal in air combat. These helped pilots shoot down enemy planes with deadly efficiency. But it was not all smooth sailing for the Hellcat. Pilots faced many challenges, especially learning to land on aircraft carriers. Imagine trying to land a plane on a moving ship in the middle of the ocean. That was no easy task, but they got better with practice. Thanks to the Hellcat, by the end of the war, the United States Navy had achieved air superiority in the Pacific. It destroyed over 5,000 enemy aircraft, more than any other plane in the Pacific theater. Today, the Hellcat is remembered not just as a great fighter plane, but as a symbol of innovation and teamwork. It shows how quickly technology can change the course of history. The story of the Hellcat reminds us that finding the right tools and people can overcome huge challenges. This lesson still holds true, whether in military strategy or other fields like technology and engineering. In the early 1940s, things in the Pacific weren't looking great for the Allied forces during World War II. They needed a game changer to take on the well-equipped enemy. That's when the Grumman F-6F Hellcat, a powerful American fighter plane, entered the scene, changing the tide of aerial battles. Two key individuals played significant roles. Leroy Grumman, the mind behind Grumman Aircraft, designed the Hellcat. He had a knack for creating rugged and reliable planes. Then there was test pilot Robert Hall, who made sure everything worked as planned by flying the Hellcat through challenging tests. Here's what happened. In June 1942, the United States Navy saw the need for a new fighter to win control of the skies over the Pacific. The Hellcat first flew in June 1943 and quickly joined the fight. It was a single-engine monster that combined speed with incredible power. The Hellcat was built to be fast and tough. It could fly over 380 miles per hour, which made it one of the fastest fighters of the time. Its engine delivered 2,000 horsepower, making takeoffs from aircraft carriers easier. The plane's strong armor and heavy firepower, with 6 half-inch caliber machine guns, put it in a class of its own. Pilots found it easy to fly and repair, which was great in the heat of battle. But building such an impressive plane wasn't without its challenges. Engineers had to design a plane that could handle rugged conditions at sea. It needed to survive not only enemy attacks, but also the wear and tear of being on an aircraft carrier. The process was hard, and it took time to perfect. However, the engineers did not give up. By 1944, the Hellcat proved its worth. It helped the Allies achieve air superiority in critical battles like the Battle of the Philippine Sea. The Hellcat was responsible for over half of the United States Navy's air victories in the Pacific, making it a vital piece of the war effort. Why should we care about this today? The Hellcat reminds us of how innovation and determination can turn the tide during tough times. For young people today, its story is a lesson in how the right tools and teamwork can overcome even the biggest challenges. In the early 1940s, the world was deep in World War II. The Allies, including the United States and the United Kingdom, were against powerful enemies. In the middle of all this, there was a need for better aircraft. Fighter planes needed to be fast, tough, and able to outdo the enemy. Enter the Hellcat. The Grumman F-6F Hellcat was a fighter plane used mainly by the United States Navy. One of the main people behind the Hellcat was engineer Leroy Grumman. He wanted to make a plane that was faster and safer. By 1943, the Hellcat was ready to hit the skies and make a big difference. The Hellcat was crucial in the air battles over the Pacific Ocean. Pilots flew these planes from aircraft carriers. They took off, flew into action against Japanese pilots, and returned to the carriers when done. It was a tough machine, designed to take hits and still fly. It had powerful engines and thick armor. The plane could climb quickly and turn sharply, giving pilots an edge in dogfights. The Hellcat carried 6 half-inch machine guns, which packed a punch. Its main job was to hunt enemy fighters and protect the fleet. During the Battle of the Philippine Sea in 1944, the Hellcat helped the Allies win a huge victory. This battle was so intense that it was nicknamed the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot because of the number of enemy planes shot down. This success was mainly due to the sturdy design and power of the Hellcat. But flying a Hellcat was not without problems. Pilots had to deal with mechanical failures and tricky landings on aircraft carriers. Bad weather and the vast ocean also made navigation hard. Despite these challenges, the Hellcat proved to be a reliable partner for pilots. By the end of World War II, Hellcats had shot down over 5,000 enemy planes. This made them one of the most successful fighters in the war. The Hellcat's impact was clear. It helped turn the tide in favor of the Allies and ensured air superiority. Today, the story of the Hellcat reminds us of the teamwork between people and technology. It shows how innovation and bravery can change the course of history. Young people can see how lessons from the past inform the present and inspire future advances. In the early 1940s, during the peak of World War II, the fight in the sky was vital. Air battles were a big part of the war, and both sides were trying to make better planes. The Japanese Zero fighter was a major threat, and the Allies needed something that could stand up to it. This is where the Grumman F-6F Hellcat, a new fighter plane, came into play. A few key people were involved in making the Hellcat a reality. Leroy Grumman, an aviation engineer, and his team worked hard on creating a fighter plane that could handle intense combat situations. They wanted something that was tough and reliable. In 1942, the Hellcat took its first flight, and soon after, it joined the battlefields as part of the United States Navy. The Hellcat's story is all about its ability to dominate the skies. Step by step, it changed the game. It was fast and powerful, with a top speed of over 370 miles per hour. This plane had 6 .50 caliber machine guns, which packed a mighty punch. Its major task was to defend aircraft carriers and take on enemy planes. Pretty soon, the Hellcat proved it could outmatch the Japanese Zero in many dogfights. Technically, the Hellcat was impressive but simple to understand. It had a robust design that could take hits and keep flying. Pilots found it easy to control, and its radial engine gave it a good amount of power. It was around 10,000 pounds but could carry about 4,000 pounds of bombs or rockets. So it was not just a fighter, but a bomber as well. Of course, making the Hellcat work came with many problems. The United States Navy had to train pilots quickly and fix planes on the move. Mechanics worked hard to keep them in action, despite heavy use and rough conditions. But these challenges didn't stop the Hellcat from being successful. By the end of World War II, the Hellcat had helped turn the tide in the Allies' favor. It achieved an impressive record, shooting down more than 5,000 enemy aircraft. That mattered then and still does today, because the design ideas and tactics from the Hellcat's success shaped how modern fighter planes are built and used. So when we look at today's advanced fighter jets, like the stealthy Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II, we can trace some of that innovation back to what the Hellcat accomplished.